Sachs in the Morning. Sports, money, life. Steve Sachs.
Welcome to Sachs in the Morning. I'm Steve Sachs, and I'm so glad that you've decided to share a little bit of your time with me. This program is really all about success. Success in sports, to be sure, but we'll also talk about success with money and success in life and how all three can really impact your dreams and your passion. My goal is to have you inspired, informed, entertained, and most certainly motivated to follow your emotional heart after every episode. Hi, Steve Sachs here with Sachs in the Morning, and today is April the 12th, Thursday. We have a very special guest today. As you may know, we've been talking about this day for quite a while now. This is the day we have our long-form guest, and if you're a sports fan or even just a movie fan, you have undoubtedly known the movie Rudy. The story of a young man who was determined to attend Notre Dame and play on the football team, even though he only stood a mere 5'6" and weighed 165 pounds. He works tirelessly to earn the respect of his teammates and coaches and repeatedly gets annihilated in practices. All the while, family and friends think he's out of his mind to chase such an outrageous dream. But that perseverance leads him to spending 2 years on the practice team and getting to be in uniform for the last game where, at the very end, he gets his chance to play, makes a tackle, and is carried off the field by his teammates. By the way, the first time that's ever happened at Notre Dame. The movie is based on a real story, and today we have the man who lived that real story, Daniel Ruettiger, better known as Rudy. He tells me about his days at Notre Dame, how he earned the respect of his teammates. And the other story of perseverance is in his life where he spent 10 years trying to get a movie about his life made so people could be inspired. That movie is coming up on its 30th year anniversary, and it's inspired millions of people. I can't wait for you to hear the interview with Rudy because I'll tell you what, he still lives that message of Rudy. He is still incredibly inspirational, and he's funny and very grounded and kind. So with that, it's my pleasure to share with you my conversation with Daniel Rudy Ruettiger. And this is an obviously great pleasure that we have today for our long-form guest, the great Rudy Ruettiger from the movie Rudy. I mean, this is...
Let me stop you right there. I'm not great. So
You're not great.
No.
Yeah, you are. You've changed a lot of lives, my friend.
Yeah, that doesn't make you great.
Yeah, to us it does. Well, let's
You're
just keep
great.
going.
Yeah,
No, we are unbelievably beyond ourselves because of, and we're going to get into it a little bit, but the impact, Rudy, that you've had on people, on kids, on people that I know have sent you letters from high school that wanted to give up and never did because they saw your movie. It's amazing. So kind of give us a synopsis of what it was like. I know you can start back early after you got out of high school. I know you went to the Navy. So take it on from there, Rudy, and let us know about you.
Well, we all take different journeys, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Where we go, how we end up. It's not basically how you start your life. It's where you end up in life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's how you handle life with all the different obstacles and journeys we go today. Geez, I just heard a very sad story of a kid being bullied and he went home and committed suicide. Little kid. I mean, this is middle school. This is what's happening. Social media, we didn't have it when I was growing up, but because I came from a large family, one of 14 and 6 brothers, you lived differently. I mean, totally lived differently because you had to eat your food fast and grab your underwear quick.
Yeah, I got that.
You don't have any underwear or food, so you had to learn how to survive in a different way. But also, too, it was called organized chaos. My life is nothing but organized chaos because if it happens in a structure, it won't happen because everything gets stuck. So I like to do things to where it's different. For an example, school, did not like school. Not that I didn't want to go to school. I wanted to go to school, but I hated going there and being intimidated by teachers and kids because I couldn't read like them or couldn't study like them because I had dyslexia, which I didn't know I had. I didn't know I had it. No one knew what dyslexia was at the time. So they considered you stupid. So you walk with that label. It's not a good label. And your coaches look at you and your teachers look at you like you're slow and you're not slow. So you dealt with that pain. So it was painful. But I
Uh,
dealt with it, and how I dealt with that situation, like today we don't deal the kids deal with it differently. You got to dream, and dreams are important.
mm,
And dreams to me was emulating what I wanted to be, like playing in Yankee Stadium as a like
mhm,
Mickey Mantle or Roger
mhm,
Maris, 'cause I grew up with them. But
yeah,
realistically, I'm not gonna do that. But Little League, you could emulate that. Pony League, you can emulate that till
mhm,
the coach makes you feel bad. Then that dream goes away.
yeah,
That's what happens between coaches, parents, teachers, friends, whoever will steal your joy when you're at your happiest moment of just being what you want to be. So people learn to steal your joy and you're vulnerable and you become vulnerable and that's what happened to me. But I learned the strength of a dream.
mm. How'd
And
you get that back, Rudy? How was the Navy instrumental in your formation?
well, the Navy, the little things. I'm gonna go with the little things.
Okay,
Gratitude. Let me use the word gratitude. Um,
right.
Gratitude means you're now getting things you never had. For an
Oh,
example, you got new underwear. I never had new underwear.
huh.
Never had new shoes. Never had those. Those now these are my own, and now these are yours. And no one could take your shoes or your underwear, or your socks. I mean, you had to. So there was a lot of pride of the fact that the little things meant a lot, like making your bed. You had to make your bed in the Navy for when you get up, but I was
Yeah.
used to them anyhow. So my whole point, the little things really developed the confidence when they focused on the little things. The drill instructor credited you because you got the little thing done, not the big thing, because the
Mm,
big things take care of itself when the little things are done. It's so different in sports or anything or any.
yeah,
If you do the little things right, the big things happen. So that's how the Navy helped me get
I
my
see.
self-esteem back. So now I'm somebody. I always wanted to be somebody. I'm
Mm.
somebody because he made me the leader in boot camp.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's
Yeah.
because I could fold underwear better than the dude next to me, you
Yeah,
know?
you
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, and he said, "Well, man, you're the leader. Show these dudes how to do it." And my whole point is, when you get that confidence, you start dreaming again.
Yeah, I
'Cause
gotcha.
you eliminate all the goofy thoughts that people get. Now you're not hanging around the goofballs, you're hanging around the guys who empower you with good, real simple thoughts.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah,
do it,
well,
not why you can't, but you can do it. So that was the magic, I think.
I see. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you in Vegas shortly, Rudy, and we're going to be talking about a few things. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about is I know that you were a championship boxer at Notre Dame, and I'm a huge boxing fan. So tell me a little bit about the boxing training. People don't realize that the sweet
Yeah.
science is much harder than most sports to be a good boxer.
Well, Notre Dame was you boxed at Notre Dame to get in shape for football.
Uh huh.
I also boxed to get respect for
Mm,
the football team because
uh,
you don't get real respect on the football field because you're not one of those, I call it, entitled athletes that
mm,
they bring in. Or, I mean, you're working, and they do not pay attention to you until you do something out of the ordinary, like boxing. If
mm-hmm.
you beat one of them in the boxing ring, now you got the respect of them, that player that you're up against every day in personal drills. But they never allowed you to scrimmage. They allowed you to sit there and watch scrimmaging, but never allowed you to be part of the team. So, but boxing, it's an individual, and they looked at you differently, and they
Huh.
respected you now. So that's why boxing was important for me to be part of that football team, because now you're somebody to them.
Right. Rudy, how about your time at Holy Cross Junior College, right across the street from Notre
Yeah,
Dame?
well, that happened because when my friend did a shortcut on his
Hmm.
job and got killed, and I just got back from the Navy, and I got a promotion, and I was pretty well settled into the job. And he and I would talk like every day at lunch at break time because we were union. You had a 9 o'clock break. We talked noon. He
This is
said
at the coal power plant.
the coal power plant, and he would
Right.
say, and I would tell him about, I always wanted to go to Notre Dame, but I can't. He says, "Man, you're living in regret. I've been here 30 years, and
Whoa.
I never fulfilled my dreams, and blah blah blah." It goes on and on. But he said one thing: don't live in regret.
Wow.
I was a equipment operator at the time, and he was a mechanical operator, which means if something went wrong, I had to take things out electrically, and he fixed the things mechanically. So
Hmm.
we had a problem in the tunnel one day, coal conveyor. And I got the call saying, get out to C1 tunnel. We got a trip out there, see what's going on. Well, I go out there and he's out there before me and he sees the problem. He jumps up on the conveyor to fix the problem without waiting for me to take the equipment out electrically.
Oh
Well, when
no.
the system calls for fuel, that system starts up. And they don't have that, that equipment, they have no conscience, man. It just starts up. He's on top of that conveyor and throws him through 8 feeders. And I catch him right before he goes into a pulverizer, but he was already dead. And that's
Oh,
and that's the day I realized life is too short, one, and don't live in regret, two. What are you doing, Rudy? And I threw my arms up in the heavens and I said, I'm yours. And spiritually got connected and I quit the job and went towards Notre Dame and saw Holy Cross. No one has told me about Holy Cross. In fact, if you were going to go to junior college, you were stupid. This was a little junior college across from Notre Dame. And I walked into that little junior college and there was a little guy sitting behind the desk, president. There's only 100 kids at the school. That was so
oh,
wonderful about it.
yeah.
And that guy was in the Navy behind that desk.
Oh,
And I told him, look, I was in the Navy. I told him about my situation. I told him about he said, whoa, let's stop right there. I said, you're in the Navy? He said, yes. And he said, so was I. I said, where'd you serve? And I told him. And he says, you know what we're going to do here? We're going to send a realistic game plan for you. And we're not going to talk about your past. Your past is over. Let's talk about now, what we can do now and how we can get you to Notre Dame.
nice.
That was awesome. That little meeting there set the tone. So I said, can you commit to 4 semesters here and we'll get you parallel courses, but you have to do well. And I mean, well,
Hmm.
but I had all the help I can have there because they don't want you to fail.
Yeah.
They want you to succeed. So they
Mhm.
made sure you succeeded. So it was a gift, a God gift, but I applied every semester at Notre Dame and got turned down, not because I committed to 4 semesters, but I wanted to let them know I'm coming.
Hmm.
They don't know if you're coming if they don't know you're there,
Yeah.
right? So the more you put your face in front of them, your papers in front of them, they got to know you. And that's how I got in.
How many times were you turned down at Notre Dame, Rudy?
Well, every semester I
Oh,
applied, just to let them know. Well, oh, there's 3 semesters, and the 4th one was, hey, they're not going to turn me down now. This is it, that type of thing.
yeah.
But, they already knew me, and I had their respect now.
Mm.
And so I was improving every semester. So they know I could do the work
Hmm.
because of collaboration. That's what the Navy taught me as well, how to collaborate.
Mm.
Collaborate with your friends so they can help you develop a mastermind around you of people who want you to succeed. And that's what I did at Holy Cross. That's what I did at Notre Dame. And it was very successful.
Wow. It's amazing. Rudy, you got to tell me what it was like the first time you stepped on the gridiron and passed touchdown Jesus at Notre Dame.
Wow.
What was that feeling like?
Wow. There's two. First of all, it's a very spiritual feeling when you walk
Mm.
into campus. 2 things went away real quick: academics and football. It was not about football or academics now. It's about what you do every day. It's
Oh.
about your hard work. It's about you committing to what you need to do. And that was because you didn't compare yourself anymore to the students or to the athletes. It didn't matter. It's your work ethic now. And I had that because when I got out of high school, I had to pack my lunch and go to work.
Yeah.
I had to put those Chiquita banana stickers on my lunch bucket every day, you know? So my whole
Yes.
point, I had the work ethic. I was in the Navy, so I understood work ethic was important and don't miss class. So that fear went away, eliminated fear. Most of us get stuck with fear because
Mm.
of all the fear and guilt people give you and the doubt people give you. So if you don't hang around it, you don't hear it and you're not fearful. And
Mm.
and that's what when I walked on campus, let's touch on a football stadium, that was totally different. The thing that came to my mind with football was not, hey, I'm not going to start here. I'm surely not, they're not looking for me, but I can contribute to their program. So I understood if I can be a contributor, I could still be on that football team. A contributor means you contribute to what they need not what you need, but what they need. So I became a practice player,
I see.
holding the bags, doing what they needed, and some of the guys start respecting that hard work.
Uh-huh.
And when that happens, you don't have to be the best. But I played every day, practiced every day like I was going to play.
Mm.
That was the difference. See, I didn't let them steal my joy about all I wanted to do was step on the field one time.
Yeah. Well, I think it's amazing that you bring up, you played in practice like you were going to play in the game.
Right.
And to me, that is a cornerstone of almost everybody. Well, everybody I talked to that's successful, they practice the way they would play in the game.
Right. Games are fun.
Yeah. Rudy,
You
what
know?
was it like going against in practice?
Well,
Against those guys are huge.
well, it's personal drills
Ah.
that were tough, because you had your 15 minutes of going against your defensive linemen, all the Hall of Famers, even Super Bowl guys.
Wow.
You I tried to stay away from guys like Bob Gully,
Yeah.
but you know what? You can't if you're in the drills.
Yeah. That's a
They would
moose right
rock
there.
you. Dave
Yeah.
Cassidy would come by
Oh.
and hit you with his arm, and I said, "Why is he hitting me? Because he doesn't like you."
Oh, wow. I get.
You get those type of players, and not that they didn't like walk-ons.
Ah.
They said, "Well, what do you want to be like us? Come on, dude." That's the type of energy you get from these guys. But once you break through the respect level, then all of a sudden you're not getting that harassment. You're getting a type of feeling. So that's why you had to practice hard.
Yeah.
You had to show them that, hey, I could practice. I can handle this. And I'm not going to quit because you hit me. I had to learn how to deal with pain and insults and all the things that coaches would tell you and players would tell you. I ignored it because it didn't matter. I already knew what I had to do. Work hard, get
Yeah.
through practice, deal with pain. I don't need to deal with your insults. I already know them.
Well, you certainly had the respect from your team and the whole organization at Notre Dame, because after that tackle, you were the only guy to ever be carried off the field at that time in the history of Notre Dame. So what was that? What was going through your veins, Rudy, and going in your heart when they picked you up and carried you off the field? You were the only guy that was ever carried off the field.
I was embarrassed.
Were you?
Yes.
Why were you embarrassed?
Because you don't do this at Notre Dame.
No, they never had.
No, you don't do this. This is not
the respect they had for you was immense.
Yeah, well, not all of them. Ask Joe Montana.
Oh, really?
He says it's a joke, right? Because he's entitled, as an entitled athlete, you look at that guy as a joke when something like that happens. But the guy who's not entitled to that position and worked hard to get there, he sees the value of what you just did. And those are the guys that came out and carried you off the field. It's not a joke.
No.
A walk-on is not a joke. Anybody who works hard, contributes to your program is not a joke. And that's what I'm saying. Don't call it a joke, dude.
Right. I hear you.
Not
I
a
know.
joke.
That's not. There's no way that is. No.
You can win all the Super Bowls you want.
Yeah.
But it's not a joke.
No, absolutely not. Rudy, when this movie was being made, I got to tell you, I'm one of the people that didn't know the genesis of how the movie was going to come about, how it was made and whatever. Tell us about how the movie came to fruition, how you made this happen. You talk about the road that you traversed getting to Notre Dame. How about the road you traversed to get this movie, out in the public?
Well, how about when people ask you, hey, what's your dream? Hey, Steve, what's your dream?
Yeah.
How would you know? You don't get dreams till you're inspired. Once you're inspired, a dream comes.
Right.
There's something inside of all of us that stimulates that little feeling when we were kids. We wanted to be I wanted to be Mickey Mouse playing in the Yankee Stadium. That was a dream. Or you see a movie, say, wow, I'd like to make a movie like that. That's a dream, a fantasy dream. Now, when a guy comes up to you in the locker room after you played and says to you, a sports writer who happens to be a very respectable sports writer, and he respected me, he said, Rudy, what just happened here at the university? I've been covering this football program for 30 years. I've never seen people cheer for a guy they didn't know. I never saw a guy carried off the field like they carried you. He said, this stuff only happens in Hollywood. That
Yeah.
was a seed. That's
Wow.
all it was, a seed. Not that I said, oh, yeah, I'm going to go make a movie. So now I'm selling insurance after Notre Dame, right? I tried to stay as a coach, as a graduate assistant, but now that's not me 24/7. I got to do something different because I got to.
Mhm.
So anyhow, I made the decision to sell insurance. But insurance, here's the key. The insurance industry taught me some valuable, some real values.
Uh-huh.
How to listen, how to work, how to follow through, how to build relationships. All those things were so important. What we don't do most of the time, we never listen because we want we go sell something because we need to make money. Well,
Mhm.
people feel that right away. If you build a relationship and you're not there to make money, but you are going to make money, you're there to help them. It's a whole different deal. That's what
Mm.
I learned through insurance. To make a long story short, so when I saw the movie Rocky, I got this little chip on my shoulder when I was in Washington, D.C. I was watching Joe Montana throw a ball at Dwight Clark to beat the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
I told the guy I was sitting next to, hey, I played with Montana. And the guy laughed at me. I said, no, I really did. He said, really? Yeah. Well, what did you play? I said, I wasn't any good, but I did make a tackle. And he laughed. I said, okay, dude. I said, all right, I get it. I don't blame you. I would laugh too. You know,
Yeah.
I hear this all the time. But then I see the movie Rocky.
Yeah.
It's over. I'm telling you,
Ah.
it's over. All
Wow.
that stuff came to like, that's the answer. Rudy, go make a movie, show your journey. You can help a lot of people, and don't make it a football movie, make it about life, because that's what Rocky did.
Now, did they jump right on with you and say, "Yeah, we're gonna make this
No,
movie"?
no,
What did they
no,
do, Rudy?
no, no,
What
no.
happened?
Oh my God. First thing that happens, you lose a lot of friends because you start telling yourself.
Really?
Second thing, you go out to Hollywood and you meet a lot of people that say they can help you, but don't do anything.
Yeah.
So, but those people are also good to learn from, because I failed more than anybody I think has ever failed trying to get to the right person. But here's the key. People still responded to the story.
Yeah.
They liked it. First guy I met was Body by Jake Steinfeld. He was in a restaurant, and I walk in there and I asked the guy, because I fly out there. I just want to meet a producer, see if they like this story. And I walk out there. I said, "Where's all the producers hang out?" I said, "Go to Carnegie Deli. That's where they hang
Yeah.
out." So I go there, and I walk in, and I says to the guy, "Any producers here or big shots?" And he said, "Yeah, there's Jake Steinfeld." So I kind of wander over, kind of waiting for my opportunity to say hi, because he was kind of like, "Wow, that's Jake, the guy on TV," and Body by Jake. So I
Uh-huh.
compliment him right away. I said, "Sir, I just want to tell you, man, I watch you all the time. You're quite the guy. Boy, congratulations." I said, "Well, thank you." He said, "Where are you from?" I said, "Well, I'm from Indiana." And he said, "Well, what are you doing out here?" So I'm pitching a movie. He said, "What kind of movie?" I said, "Well, you want to hear it?" He said, "Yeah." So he had his entourage there, and he liked the story, right?
Mm.
But
Mhm.
he couldn't do anything with it. He said, "Oh man, that's a good story. That's my story. Because I came out here with nothing and I made it." You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying, Mr. Rudy? He says, I said, "I do." He says, but he gave me that positive step. That's all I
Oh.
needed. So I kept going to people, and you meet more people and more people. Make a lot. I was out there for 8 years trying to
Wow.
get it done, and you get a lot of distractions and a lot of people trying to do things. They never did anything. So you wasted money, time,
Yeah.
energy, but all the failures became opportunity for me, because what I learned was, if I didn't go out there and learn what not to do, now I know what to do, if that makes
Wow.
sense. And,
8
and
years, Rudy. You were
well, I went to Notre Dame and pitched a story to them, and they said no. And I kept going back to Notre Dame. They finally asked the athletic department, not the university. There's two
Yeah.
universities at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
There's the athletic department, and there's a university.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I joke about that because there's two different schools there. Because
Uh,
when you go to Notre Dame, you're there 8 hours a day in sports.
yeah.
Then you gotta go to class, you gotta go to all this crazy stuff. But anyhow, make a real genuine effort here. I start talking to the administration at Notre Dame. And they were nice, very professional. We're not interested. And they turned me down. Finally, athletic department called me in their office and asked me, "Hey, Rudy, we love you, but you have to stop telling your story to our athletes. You're a distraction."
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is a true story. He says, "In
Wow.
fact, here, I have a letter written up for you. I want you to sign. You have to commit not to talk to any more of our athletes because it's an NCAA violation. If you talk to them about what? How is that a violation? Freedom of speech, right?" I
Yeah.
said, "How is that a violation?" The guy says, "Well, you're a distraction, is who you are." I said, "Okay, you keep talking to our athletes, we're going to bar you from this university, period." I
Jeez.
said, so I signed the letter and I didn't go back dejected. I came back more energized now, right?
Huh.
Now, but who do I go to? What do I do? So I create one more meeting at Notre Dame for the university because they kept saying, "No, we're not interested. We already have our movie." And Rudy, we love you though, right?
Mm.
So I set up one more meeting with the university. I get the meeting. The guy walks in. I've been talking to a great guy. Don't get me wrong. He says, "Gentlemen," said, "we love Rudy, but we already have our movie, Newt Rockney All-American." They marketed that for years. We're not going to do another movie. We don't trust Hollywood, blah, 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 kind of in his words. Then he walked out of the meeting and I'm sitting there, said, "Wow, that didn't last long. It was
Yeah.
over.
Right.
What do you do?"
Huh.
Well, I've been building a relationship with this hotel manager over the years. And I walk out and this hotel manager, he was cool because he asked me how'd the meeting go because we had it at his hotel by campus. I said, "Well, it didn't last. I think I played longer." And he laughed. He said, "Don't worry, Rudy." He said, "My brother wants to talk to you." I said, "Really? What's he want to talk about?" "Well, I think you should meet him for a pizza because his family owned a pizza chain called Barnaby's." I said,
Mm.
"Meet him at Barnaby's. He's going to be in town. Tell him your story, please." I said, "All right." So I go there. I meet his brother, Donnie. I'll never forget. We sit there, order the pizza. He says, "Tell me your story." So I told him everything. We were there for, God, 2 hours.
Huh.
And he finally looks at me with passion in his eyes. This is the key, passion. He said, "Rudy, what you just told me is a movie. I'm telling you, you can't give up on that. But you have to do one more thing for me." He said, "What's that?" I said, "You need to go out and speak to my partner, my fraternity partner, my fraternity brother." He went to Indiana U. Said he wrote the movie Hoosiers. We were part of that movie. I said, "Really? You were part of Hoosiers?" He says, "Yeah." "Wow, you know the guys who did Hoosiers?" He says, "Yeah. David Ansbach and Angelo Pizzo are my fraternity. They're great friends of mine. And I'm gonna call Angelo. I'm gonna set this meeting. I want you to tell him what you just told me. I think he'll go for it." I said,
Wow.
"Really?" So I said, "Okay." So now I have to go into my boss and ask him for more time off to go out to California. He gave me all the time I wanted. Basically, he fired me. So I go out to California and I get my friend to pick me up and go to Montana, 10th in Montana, Louise's restaurant in Santa Monica. That's
Uh-huh.
where he's going to meet me. So I go there. I'm sitting in this little restaurant. Now, this is where the insurance industry paid off, called patience, because called learning how to deal with a no-show.
Mm. Oh,
Well, 3 hours go by, a no-show. Angelo's not coming in my buddy's mind, but in my mind, he is coming. I'm gonna manifest this dude. I'm gonna get this guy, right? And and the guy says to me, I said, "Well, you sit here and I'll be right back." He said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm gonna go get him." He said, "How? You don't even know where he lives." I said, "Don't worry about it." So I walk outside and there's a African American mail carrier whistling and smiling. He had gratitude. What did I say early on when I told you I had gratitude about underwear? I was happy,
yeah.
joyful,
You had
right?
socks and underwear, and you're right.
My own. And this guy had gratitude. I knew it. He was happy, right?
Yeah.
So I thanked him. I said, "Man, I needed that, dude. You're awesome." He said, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Indiana." He said, "Whoa, I'm from Michigan." So we had a little connection. And he told me his story. I said, "Wow, that's a great story." He said, man, you're happy out here. Yes, I am. So why are you out here? Why you don't want to hear mine's mine's complicated. He said, well, what do you mean? I'm trying to get a movie made. So I hear that all the time. What kind of movie idea you got? Well, I'm supposed to meet this guy who wrote Hoosiers, and I was supposed to pitch him the story, but he didn't show up. He said, how long you been waiting for him? I said, about 3 hours. He said, well, what's his name? And I told him, Angelo Pizzo. So, well, what's your story again? And I told him. He said, that parallels my life, man. He said, just follow me. And I'm going to point at his house. And that house I point at is where he lives. I pass that dude's mail out every day. I said, oh, cool. But I'm not sure if I should follow him or not, because, hey, is this right? So I do follow him, and I knock on the door, and he, without any hesitation, said, who is it? I said, Rudy. He said, how'd you find me, man? I said, never mind, you're late for lunch. And he started coming with all these excuses now. He's up all night rewriting the script. He's not going to write another sports story. He doesn't want to be pigeonholed. And what do you do? And he hates Notre Dame. So what do you do with this guy? Well, what's the insurance industry said? Rudy, eliminate the goofy stuff and listen to what he wants and needs. So I says to him, so would you still go to lunch with me? He said, well, yeah, but don't talk about a movie, but you do have a good story. That's all I needed to hear.
Yeah.
Right. And so I go to lunch. I ask him about him. So I built a relationship. Very important. Built that relationship. Even though he hated Notre Dame, he didn't want to do another sport. He did not want to have anything to do. But man, he loved talking about how he got to Hollywood. He was a Rudy, 100%, because his family were doctors, and he was supposed to be a doctor. He was a rebel in his family. He goes to Hollywood, becomes a writer, movie guy, and he went against the grain. So he got the message, but didn't want to write a sports movie. But 2 years go by because I got to go back. I'm cutting grass, shoveling snow, because I'm not going to get a regular job now. I just need to pay my mortgage and just survive. And I get a message on my answer machine 2 years after I left Hollywood, and it's Angelo. Says, you won't believe this. Call me. So I've just been commissioned to write your story. I said, what?
Oh.
So I call him. He said, Rudy, this is unbelievable. There's a guy at Columbia Pictures. He went to Michigan State, loves your story as a walk-on, and he wants this written right away. And he commissioned me to write it, the producer and him. I said, oh, wow. I said, okay, how did this happen? He said, I'll tell you later. He said, you just need to get under contract with Columbia Pictures. So I had to go through all that stuff. I got under contract, got it done. But I never told him about Notre Dame. He writes the script. They greenlight the script right away. They loved it, right? But the guy who greenlighted it gets fired. So that anything that he approved is gone. No more movie, right? So you go up and down, and I'm still not telling them Notre Dame. So they call me, say, hey, you got the good news and bad news. The bad news is the movie's dead, but the good news is we'll get it done. We'll walk over to TriStar Studios and we'll get this movie done because I have a relationship. Anyhow, that's what we did, got the movie approved. Then I had to give him the bad news because he said, we will only do this if we shoot at the university. I said, you can't, because I'll be barred from the campus if I go back there, talk to them about a movie. Well, they went totally silent, and then they gave me 48 hours to get the approval. This is where all the God winks happen. And if you stay positive, the right door will open. So I go back to South Bend, figuring out what am I going to do? I got 48 hours, and bingo, that little angel shows up. I end up going over to the priest I never talked to that makes all the decisions on the university's PR and what happens to the university's image. And I just walk in on him, and he and I had because he was dealing with some real stressful moments of the university. They had a book coming out called The Tarnished Dome. It was a bad PR deal. And his parents were murdered by some carnival people. So he's dealing with all kinds. And I said, Father, I could help you to relieve your pain. And his question was, how? I said, well, spiritually, you got to deal with what you need to deal with. But I got to deal with this movie thing I just got approved in Hollywood. I got $50 million. major studio says, "You got what?" So yeah, I got $50 million with a major studio and a script ready to shoot. He said, "Give me more info." So I gave him more info. I said, "The best thing for you and I to do is for you to meet the writer and director, and whatever decision you make, I'm going to go with. That's the deal."
Wow.
He said, "That's fair." So they come
Mm.
that Monday, there's a lot more to it, but that Monday they come and he likes it. He goes home that Sunday night, by the way, and watches the movie Hoosiers and liked it. So that, and these, and he liked the meeting, he approved the movie, gave us 100% approval to shoot that movie on campus. And now the athletic department does not like what just happened. So now we have a conflict shooting football.
Oh boy.
We can't use the fields, or you can't, you're a distraction to our team. But you know what? You overcome that too, because there's fields that you could shoot, but we needed 60,000 people
Yeah.
because we don't have CGI. So what we do, we go to the band instead of the athletic department, go to the band, and they give us 8 minutes as long as we put their kids in the movie. Now they're all upset because now they see us going to shoot the movie at halftime. The athletic department's beside themselves. I go on and on. I don't need to go get personal, but it doesn't matter. We got it done. We brought the NFL films in to film this movie and all the football. That's why it looked real. That's why it was authentic. We were
Yeah.
so excited, and that they came in at the last minute to shoot all football segments. And anyhow, we were very fortunate. But casting was more important than anything. Got to cast the right people. And
Yeah.
we cast. I saw a movie called Memphis Belle. My dad was in World War II on the B-17 bomber. Sean Astin happened to play the part. My dad was in real life on the B-17.
Yeah. Wow.
After I saw the movie Memphis Belle, I called Angela and Dave, said, "We got to look at this guy." They did. They liked him. Then John Favreau, Vince Vaughn were cast right out of Second City in Chicago. They were new to the film industry, and they got in. Now look at Favreau today. He's one of the biggest directors in Hollywood. I think he's bigger than Spielberg.
Wow.
Vince Vaughn done well. Sean Astin's got a leading role now. We got Lily Taylor, Robert Prosky, Ned Beatty, Charles Dutton, who has another great story. Dutton died. He was in prison for 10 years. He found his faith and went from jail to Yale, good behavior, and he became a real profound actor, producer. So everything lined up to happen right. But we didn't let the doubt in the people. I learned you just go over those guys, find another way to get it done. Don't allow them to stop you from being who you want to be,
Yeah.
basically, or doing what you need to do. But the movie's still number one in
Yeah.
all sports films.
Well,
It's because of the
Rudy,
message.
the message, of course, and it just seems the common denominator from all the different aspects of your life is that your perseverance is immeasurable, and the fact that you just stayed until you got in the way of an opportunity, and you just
Oh.
went face to face with it and made it happen, and that's
Well, what's the difference in your career? You did the same thing.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of common denominators. There's a million reasons why
That's why
you
you
shouldn't have
connect
made
to
it.
the movie.
Yeah.
Because you earned your way. There's a thing called
Mhm.
earning.
Yeah.
You weren't entitled to that.
No.
You didn't expect them. You earned it. It's
Right.
like the greatest story I heard is Mike Sweeney. He brings me into Kansas City. He's a good guy, catcher. But he says, I was cut from the Royals, but I heard they needed a first baseman. So I just jumped on the bus with my first baseman. And the coach says, "Hey, didn't we just cut you?" So yeah, but you need a first baseman. Well, the rest is history.
Yeah.
You just keep moving forward and find out what they need. Once you're an athlete, you can adjust to anything, I think, mentally and physically.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of, because you go to these things, I get a lot of hockey players, guys like yourself, and football players either, like they grew up with the movie Rudy, so they understand, and they're excited to meet you and things like that. So it's kind of neat to have that platform in that way, just like Kobe Bryant, the late Kobe Bryant, who used the movie to launch himself into the NBA. You go to Kobe, USC, Rudy, listen to his version when he was 16 years old.
Yeah.
He got the message of, if I just work hard every day with all my talents and skills that the good Lord has given me, where would I be 20 years from now if I got better each day? And that's the message from the movie he got.
Wow.
So you don't know, but you have to be bold with what you believe in. Gotta be bold and brave and have courage. You can't allow people to steal your joy, and don't let them get in your way. You don't have to be mean to them. Just say, hey, I love you, but I got to keep going.
Yeah.
You
Rudy,
know?
I think one of the most grounding things I've ever read about you is when you were asked a question one time, what is the best advice your mom and dad ever gave you?
Mm-hmm.
And reading through about how the best thing your mother could do is for her children is to love her husband, and the best thing their father can do for his children is to love his wife, etc. I think
Right.
that's a great message, and it's
No,
a
it is.
unity message.
Those are the values that were taught to us. And no matter how tough things got you, you love your wife,
Mm-hmm.
and you respect your family, and it's your brother, it's your sister. You take care of them no matter what. We're all going to make mistakes. Don't judge. You're not here to judge.
Yeah.
You're here to empower and help each other.
Yeah. Rudy, that's what this podcast is all about. It's all about, the fact if we have to overachieve, we do, respect and hard work and
Mhm.
those American values that people hold dear, today. You're the greatest, example of that. What one thing can you tell people? And obviously, you've told us a lot of different ways of persevering. But how do you feel about just the main thing in your life? How it's always been. What have you always lived by?
Faith.
Faith.
There is a God, and you're not him.
Mm.
People who try to manipulate, control, put doubt in your life, fear in your life, guilt in your life. I'm not being around you. My connection is with the power. And once you have that connection, you can overcome, because we only have so many days, years on this earth, and you want to leave this earth not with all the money you have, but how do people remember you? What are they going to say about you?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
that simple.
Wow. What a great way to end the podcast, Rudy. How profound. It's amazing. You're a life changer. And I know you don't take yourself real seriously, but you take what you've done very seriously,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everybody sees it. And we know how humble you are. And you're loved by millions and millions of people, and you've changed a lot of lives. And we are grateful that you came on the podcast with us today.
Well, I'm honored that we got to meet and be part, because you're true, in my opinion, a great example too. And you're a passionate man. I can see that. I love it. And you have a sense of humor. I love that too about you. And you're grounded, which is really important. So
Mm,
all that's
thank
why
you.
you connect. And that's
Yeah.
why we're talking to each other.
I believe that. I believe that, Rudy. We met for a reason, and God
Yeah.
bless you. And thank you
too.
for being on, buddy. If you like what you heard today, please give us a positive review, subscribe, and share the program. Also, be sure to listen to my Sax in the Morning shorts 3 days a week for a couple of minutes of uplifting suggestions to get your day off to a great start. Our music is performed by my adorable niece, Elena Jane. And remember, to reach your goals and your dreams, follow your emotional heart.